BookTube, it's Janet and this is my July wrap up. I actually read 17 books in July, which is I think the most I've read in a month this year. I was really in a reading zone and I'm really pleased with the amount I got through. So I'm going to talk to you about the order I've rated them in from lowest to highest. And so the first one, if you've seen my videos on this channel, is Nod by Adrian Barnes. I did not finish this. It was absolutely ghastly. I hated it. Enough said. Just, if you like what I like, then don't bother. The next one is Death and the Penguin by Andrei Kurkov, and this is a Russian novel where a journalist starts to write obituaries and they're written in advance so that the paper is prepared, but then all of a sudden he keeps getting told about certain people he needs to write obituaries for, and then those people start dying and it turns out it's like Russian mob and mafia, and he just happens to have a penguin as a pet. I thought this could have been really good, but it actually turned out to be a bit of a disappointment and a letdown, and I can't say I really enjoyed it. I think I only gave it 2 stars and I think that was generous. The next one, this is totally Eleanor's fault from Eleanor Reeves Books, and this is My Little Pony Friends Forever. Graphic novel, and there's 4 stories in this and I just didn't understand them. Now Eleanor reckons that I've started with the wrong My Little Pony book, and I'm not entirely sure whether I want to repeat the experiment with one of the others because this just completely baffled me. I don't know if it's because I just didn't really know, because I was sort of a generation after My Little Pony, so I don't really have any point of reference with it, but I really just could not figure out how one piece of the story linked to the next piece of the story because there was nothing in between and I didn't really understand it. So yeah, it didn't do it for me. It's really pretty inside. You know, the pictures are beautiful and really fun, but I just didn't get it. The next one is Monstrous Volume 1 Awakening, Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. That's the first in the graphic novel series, and this is obviously the beginning of quite a lengthy series with lots of intermingling plots and threads go through. So I did enjoy it, but it's obviously very much a laying of the foundations of things to come. So it was good. I'm very keen to see where it goes. It's a bit gothic horror, a bit steampunky, and yeah, I think there will be good things to come in future volumes with that. The next one I read was A Natural History of Dragons, a memoir by Lady Trent by Marie Brennan, and this is the first in the series. And again, I really enjoyed this one. But I do think this is obviously the beginning of a series, so it again seems to be laying down a lot of the characters and the foundations for things to come. So I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed the fact that it's sort of a parallel Victorian era piece with sort of like the blue stocking of Lady Trent, although she's not quite Lady Trent in this book, and she's obviously interested in fossil hunting and those sorts of things. And I really liked her character. I really liked the fact that she was going off on expeditions and that she was very plucky and intelligent and a break from the norm for the type of woman she was expected to be. So I really enjoyed it, but I do think again it was obviously the beginning of something. So I'll definitely be carrying on with the series with that one. The next one is the graphic novel I Hate Ferland by Scotty Young, and this follows Gert, as you can see on the front, who is a 30-year-old woman trapped in the body of a 6 or 7-year-old who, when she was that age, wished to go to Fairyland, and she did, and obviously now she hates it. And it's a very irreverent, funny comic, in sort of like in the Tom and Jerry style of comic fun, where there's quite a lot of slapstick violence in it, and Gert certainly doesn't suffer fools gladly, and she is very keen to do away with people who are getting in her way or even on her nerves. And so it was quite fun. I really enjoyed this, and again I will definitely carry on with the series from this one, so I recommend that. And the next one is I finally finished Illuminati by Amy Kaufman and Dre Christoph. I read this in 3 stages, and I found the first third, it was okay, but it didn't engage me, so I put it down for a bit. Then I read another third of it, and it was starting to get better, and I was enjoying it more, but then I got distracted by something else. And then finally I've read the final third this month, and I really enjoyed it. It definitely picked up the story. It definitely had me gripped. It definitely had an ending that I didn't necessarily see coming. So I enjoyed that. I think the next one is called Gemini, and it's out October time, and I will definitely be continuing on with the series. I really like that it's written in a different way. It's sort of like a dossier, so you have pages like that where you'll get conversations and you'll get emails, and so it's very different, but it works really well. The only thing I don't like is they blot out swear words in it, which are so bleeding obvious that they're swear words, and I'm an adult reader and it's just pointless and stupid, and it just annoyed me because I tend to spend time then working out what the actual swear word was in the middle rather than just reading the book. So stop doing that. The next one I read is The Museum of Things Left Behind by Senny Glaister, and this is a delightful easy read. It's perfect for summer. I would definitely say it would be a good beach read if you took it on holiday. It's set in the fictional town of Valorosa, well, town and country, which is apparently between Austria and Italy, and they're very much isolated from the rest of the world, but they're very self-sufficient and self-contained. And they make the mistake of thinking a British royal visitor's coming over, but it's actually a British woman who is working on a Duke of Edinburgh Gold Award. So they've told the whole country that the Duke of Edinburgh's coming, but they sort of get her to collude along with it. And it's just the way she meanders through the country, which is basically people all just live around a big square, making friends with the characters, and just by her contact with people improves things for the better. The characters are all delightful and lovely and quirky and eccentric, and it was just a really nice read. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one. It's not going to worry you, it's a nice hug in a book. Next, I read the next 3 volumes in Saga that I'm up to, which was volumes 3, 4 and 5, and again, really enjoying this series. The standard remains high throughout each volume that I read. The story is keeping me engaged. I like the characters. It's really a good page turner. You want to know what happens next. So I'll definitely be getting volume 6 soon, which will get me up to date with the series. And then I'll have to wait till volume 7 comes out. So I almost don't want to get volume 6 because then I know I've got to wait. It's been nice knowing that there's been a few out, and then when you get to sort of the end of one and you want to find out what happens next, you can. So yeah, really enjoyed Saga, and it's great. If you've not read any graphic novels, it's a brilliant series to start with. And the next graphic novel I read is Descender Volume 2 by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen, and again, this really kept up the standards from the first volume, and it's about Tim 21, and he is he's a robot boy, but he's thought to be the key to the reason the bigger robots went sort of mad and started to destroy all the planets and people. But he's lovely, he's delightful, he's really sweet, and it's really, really a good story, believable characters. There's nobody in it I want to kill. Where often if there's like a really goody-goody sort of child in it, they're so sickly sweet, I just think, you're getting on my nerves. But he's alright, I quite like him. And I'm really enjoying the series, and it's carrying on to be as good as the first one, so again, I'll definitely be reading the next volume of that. The next one I've got to show you is Rusho by Shirley Barrett, and this is set in an Australian whaling family in sort of like the Victorian era, but it's on the time where whaling is becoming where whaling is on the decline. And it's got some graphic descriptions of whaling, which I didn't enjoy reading, but they weren't as bad as they could have been. But obviously, if you're going to write a book about a whaling family, then you've got to put that in. But it wasn't the main focus of the book. It was just, you know, that this was a necessary part of it. And it's all around the family who are coping with the decline of their industry, and the workers that they employ, and the children in the family, and the father, and the old salty sea dogs, and the little town that they live in. And again, it was just a lovely, really good read. I learnt a lot. It's very well written. The characters are really, really nice. There are moments of humour in it, and again, it's just another really good summer read. Really enjoyed it. So there's that one. The next one I buddy read with Aoife from Fred Weasley Died Laughing, and this is my very first steampunk novel, and this is Soulless by Gail Carriger, and this is a novel of vampires, werewolves and parasols, and I loved this. It's absolutely brilliant. It's set in sort of like a parallel Victorian London where vampires and werewolves live among everybody, and they're an accepted part of society, but there is some sort of intrigue and unpleasantness going on in there. And our main character, Alexia, she is what is called a preternatural, so she's the soulless person, so she doesn't have a soul, which means that if she touches any of these supernaturals, she can completely negate the powers. And there's a bit of a steamy romance that goes on with her and Lord Macon, who is like the head of the werewolves, and it was funny, and it was so well written, and it was pacey, and the characters were really good. Alexia herself is fabulous. She's just she's a spinster of the parish, but it doesn't bother her, and she doesn't behave the way she's expected to behave, and she just gets on with it, and her family are a bit of a nightmare, and it is really good. And so there are more books in this series. I think there's 5. I think the next one is Changeless, which I've already bought, and I will definitely be continuing on with it. Really, really enjoyed steampunk. Where has it been all my life? The favourite graphic novel I read this month was The Beauty, Volume 1 by Jeremy Horne, Jason A. Hurley and John Rausch, and just the cover alone drew me in. Really enjoyed this. This is the story of an STI which makes people absolutely beautiful. So people are actively trying to contract this disease, but the story starts where 2 years down the line, people who've got this disease, they start to spontaneously combust. And so it follows police officers who are on the special force that looks into crimes and things to do with people who've got this disease. And it's really good. It's a bit of a crime thriller. It's a bit supernatural. It's a little bit of a fantasy. And really, really enjoyed it. It was really good. I said really a lot today. I'm sorry. But yeah, thoroughly recommend this one. It was a bit dark, a bit gothic, and I like that kind of thing. The artwork is fabulous in it. If I can just show you a picture of one of the afflicted there. So yeah, again, unfortunately this has only come out recently, so I've got to wait for volume 2, but I can't wait to see what happens next. My penultimate book is a book that I rediscovered, and this is The Shark That Bit Things He Shouldn't by Dennis Bond. And this is a result of talking to my children, who are both adults now. One is 20, one is 18, and we were talking about story time, about how we used to love it, and this was probably their favourite storybook that we read. And so we were talking about how much it was lovely and how much we enjoyed it, and then we realised that we couldn't find this book. We just didn't have a copy of it. It's gone missing somewhere. So I tracked a second-hand copy down on the internet, which is actually pretty immaculate, and so we revisited it, and I actually read it to my daughter over the internet while she was still in uni, and it was just delightful. If you've got young children, it's just such a lovely storybook, and it's got fabulous pictures in it. So again, it hadn't lost any of its magic, so there was that one. And then my favourite book of the month was The Lake House by Kate Morton. This is a historical novel, but it does travel backwards and forwards in time. It takes you to a stately home in Cornwall in the 30s where the family that lived there, their son, the baby son, goes missing in suspicious circumstances, and we then fast forward to I think 2003, where one of his siblings is a successful crime writer but elderly, and the mystery of where this boy went was never solved. And then that all is threaded through with a police officer from London who is on an enforced sabbatical staying with her grandfather in Cornwall, and it's near to the lake house, and so she's quite intrigued by this as a cold case and starts digging into it, and it's all the threads of those stories, and you travel backwards and forwards in time, and it's absolutely intriguing. It keeps you guessing. I didn't see some of the twists and turns coming, and for me it's a really big book, but I read it I think in 2 days, because I absolutely loved it. I couldn't put it down. So that was my favourite book for July. So that was quite a lot. I'm quite impressed with myself. And so if you've read any of these or have any comments to make on what I've read or any other recommendations, let me know. I'll talk to you all later. Keep reading. I'll see you all soon. Bye.